thank you, Cherian. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That's MDRT Speak. We're open 24/7 here to deliver some value. What a great job, Grant. Thank you for sharing. The takeaway from Grant for me is the depth of communication equals the depth of relationship. Depth of communication equals the depth of relationship. That's from leadership guru John Maxwell. And the power of the question and having the deeper relationships with your clients. Grant talked about the process of your business. I'm going to talk about the process of you, the individual. I had my mentor call this morning very early, and he left me with just one thought, and it's this one. Learning is discovered. You don't know. And that's why we come together as MDRT, as study groups, as mentorship groups, to help us learn, grow, and obviously fellowship. My mentor last week left me with this thought, and the thought was the door is always open. And the door is always open for each of you for your greater success, your bigger future. The door is always open for those heart-to-heart conversations. The door is always open for self-improvement. The door is open, and the choice is yours to choose to walk through that door. And we do that every day, don't we? And one of the lessons I learned is that because that door is open, if I have hope, I can drive myself through that door for my bigger future. And it was hope that I had when I was lying in that bed at the age of 32. As Cherian described, I was a C5, C6 quadriplegic. I was paralyzed from my chin all the way down to my toes. I'd lost the use of my bowel and my bladder. I literally had no movement, and my bigger future had disappeared in a second. As Cherian described, it took 6 years to get through to this level of recovery that I have experienced. I went from this wheelchair, and then by the miracle and the grace of goodness, the grace of a God, I have been able to relearn how to perform those activities of daily living. It started with, very humbly, started with just inches of walking, and then it graduated to what I call the grandma walker. And from there, I had to learn how to button my buttons on my shirt and shave and comb my hair. I mean, shave. I had to relearn all of the behaviors that I had lost. I had lost the memory muscle of over 90% of my activities. And it took 6 long years to bring my life back together. And I didn't do it without help. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, on how you surround yourself with positive, productive, purposeful people. So in my time today, what I want to just share with you, and it'll be very brief, 10, 12 minutes, is what are my strategies for overcoming adversity. And that adversity could be big catastrophic accidents. It could be a death in the family, a divorce, or even a disability, an accident, or an illness. Or it could be small adversity, such as just client rejection, of not accepting your invitation for an appointment, or rejection from the girl who doesn't want to go out on a date with you. And so I use these strategies in all of those circumstances. But before I go any further, I want to invite each of you to connect with Grant, Cherian, or myself each of us would be willing to spend, 10, 20 minutes on the phone with you to just discuss questions or ideas that you may have to help propel to your bigger future. So my first strategy is having, just as Grant said, got to have a model, got to have a process. And my model and process is daily victories. And I developed this model as I was going through my recovery from C5, C6 incomplete quadriplegia. And that started out very small, baby steps. And I continued to build on those baby steps on a daily basis. And even today, I use daily victories to propel myself forward. And it starts out very humbly in the morning. I have my tea and my water. I do my exercises. That includes a 6-minute plank. And then I reward myself after that 6-minute plank with another cup of tea or coffee. And that's how I start to build on daily victories. After my exercises, I do my 30 minutes of reading, daily victory. After my 30 minutes of reading, I knock out 10 phone calls, and then I hit the showers. And I do all of this behaviors to fill myself up with positivity and propel myself forward for a positive, productive, purposeful day. And it's all around daily victories. The second strategy that I use is, let me get through this. My apologies. As I was going through my recovery, I fell into a deep depression because I had lost my capability. I didn't know what my bigger future was going to be. I didn't know what my capability was going to be. I was sleeping 18 hours a day at one point, 15 hours a day, and then 12 hours a day. And I just didn't know what my life was going to be. I came out of that deep depression understanding that victory over self was going to be the key to my bigger future. The second strategy I use is something called my pace, my race, or my race and my pace. I focus on my behavior rather than focusing on other people's behavior and competing with them. Grant Hicks runs a business, very successful. Cherian runs a business, very successful. I have my business, and I run my business in my way, and my numbers are my numbers. And I don't need to compare myself numerically with Cherian or Grant. What I do is I surround myself with those types of people to propel my race and my pace forward. And what I've learned over the years is that the consistency of my behavior was probably the greatest single factor to my success. I just got up every day, made my calls, saw the people, and success followed me. And what was driving me all along the way was the mere fact that I had a burning desire. I had a purpose that was just unwavering. I was not going to not succeed, quite frankly, because the burning desire to educate people on the power of having income protection or accident and illness or disability protection, however you define it, was burning so hard inside of me that I was not going to fail. The other thing I learned about successful people is, hey, our mission is never done. And many of us in the industry, we stay in the